What's up guys, so this tutorial series is going to be for people who are absolute beginners. I've had a few people request that I make a course for people who are just starting out making beats. So the first thing you want to do is download FL Studio if you haven't already. To do that, you can go to the ImageLine website and the link for that is going to be in the pinned comment. If you have the money, you can buy one of the versions of FL Studio, and then if you don't, or you just want to test out FL Studio, you can get the trial version. The difference between the bought versions and the trial version, the trial version is going to make it so that you cannot save your projects. You can only export the MP3, which that might suit your needs. Soulja Boy, actually, when he came out with Crank That Soulja Boy, he used the trial version of FL Studio. So you can actually get a lot of stuff done with just the trial version. But I do suggest, if you have the money, buy FL Studio. There's 4 different versions. I wouldn't get this version because it's basically empty. I would start, if you're going to buy FL Studio, I'll get this version. This version has the audio recording, couple different plugins already built into it, and then the differences with these versions is they just come with more plugins. So if you have the money, you can go for one of these versions if you want, but you'll be perfectly fine just getting this version. So when you first open FL Studio, you might not have a project that looks like this. It might be a demo project. So in order to open a blank project like this, you go to File, New from Template, Minimal, and then Basic. And then you should get a project that looks like this. So the first window here is called the channel rack. This window is going to be the window that you're putting your drum patterns or your melody patterns. You're going to do all that within this window. So just to show you an example, I'm going to put a very simple drum pattern. And to play it, you can either hit this button or you can hit this button. And to stop it, you press this button. So that's a really simple pattern. If you want to keep this pattern and then create another pattern, you can click the plus sign here. You see here it's on pattern 1 right now. If you click the plus sign, you have pattern 2, or you can rename it to whatever you want. Press enter. Now you're on pattern 2, and I can create a different pattern on this one. And so now if I want to go back to pattern 1, I just click and drag down and that'll get me to pattern 1. And if I want to go back to pattern 2, click and drag up. And you can also click and drag up to whatever pattern you want, or down to whatever pattern. So now you know how to make patterns. But if you want to make a whole beat, beats are actually made of multiple patterns put together. You might have one pattern for the drums and then another pattern for the melody, or one pattern for the kick, one pattern for the clap, hi-hat, etc. And then all those patterns come together to make a composition. So in order to create that composition, you're going to need to use the playlist window. This right here shows you all your different patterns, And if you have 10 patterns, it'll be filled. Right now we only have 2 patterns. So I'm going to select pattern 1, and I'm going to drop that down into here on the playlist. I can drop it wherever I want, but just so I keep things organized, I'm going to drop it on track 1. And right now it's just a loop, like a 2-second loop. If I want to extend it, I can do this. You want to have them back to back, you don't want to have them overlapping each other. And now I extended it so that it just loops and repeats for about 13 seconds. And then I can extend it as far as I want. And you might think that putting in individual ones is going to be tedious after a while. So if you want to just put a bunch down at once, you can change your tool to the paint tool. This is all your tools up here. So the paint tool allows you to just click and drag as long as you want. So now that pattern repeats for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So that's the kick and clap pattern. And then I can go to pattern 2, which is just the hi-hats, and I can drop that down on track 2. It's good to keep things on different tracks so you're organized. So now you can probably see how basically you just keep adding, and then eventually you have a complete beat. So that is the playlist window. So the next window is going to be called the mixer. And to get to that window, I click on this button right here. These buttons are all your different windows. So I'm going to click on this button to get to the mixer. So the mixer is basically like how in a recording studio you see the big desk with all the knobs. That's what this is. This allows you to have different effects on different instruments or different drums. So you can have reverb on your piano without having reverb on all your other drums. So right now all of the drums are being sent straight to the master track, and they're not being sent to any individual track on the mixer. The master track is where your audio comes out of. So if I want to put a specific effect on just one of these drums, like for example the kick, I can send the kick to whatever track that I want to on the mixer. So I'm going to send it to track 1, and then I have track 1 selected, and these are all your slots for you to put different effects. So I'm going to pick slot 1, and I'm going to do select, and these are plugins. So if you have the demo version, or if you have like the $99 version, you might not see any plugins in here. That's the difference between the different versions of FL Studio. The more expensive ones have more plugins that come with it, but these you can download equivalent plugins on the internet for free. So but that's going to be for another tutorial. So I'm going to try to add reverb onto the kick. So they have a fruity reverb. I'm going to select that one. now you see the kick is going through track 1 and it has reverb on it. So I'm going to send the clap to track 2. You see the kick coming through here and the clap coming through here, and they're both going to the master. If I mute this, you don't hear anything because master is where you hear your sound. So that's the basics of the mixer. And then just to show you, I can send the clap to the same mix or the same track as the kick, and now the clap will have reverb on it too. The last window I'm going to be showing here is the browser window. This window, you can find your packs. So if you download any drum pack from the internet, you're going to want to put it into this folder, the packs folder. So to get to that folder or to download your kit into this folder, you right click on it, you hit open, and this window will pop up. You might not have anything in here, or you might have a few packs already in there. So let's say for example you download a drum kit. It's going to come in a zip folder. You open the zip folder and you drag whatever kit into here. And then when you open this window, then you're going to see your kit in the packs folder. So I already have a bunch of packs downloaded, and you can play the different sounds. And then you can drag one of the sounds onto the channel rack. And then if I want to replace a sound, like let's say I want to change this clap, you just drag the sound on top and then it changes it. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial, so I'll see you in the next one.